With us now, Middle East Forum Chief Editor Jim Hansen. Jim, great to have you with us. It strikes me that President Trump really sees a different Middle East to perhaps that seen by some of his predecessors in the White House. Let's listen to President Trump on what he's talking about not having so much chaos and a lot less conflict. Here's the president.
The new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence.
Is this a whole new approach? Is this something that we might one day look back on, Jim, and call the Trump doctrine?
I think this is a very positive way to look at the region. You know, the fact that a lot of it is on fire right now shows that the old ways aren't working. So I think everyone should get behind the president on trying something new. I think he's got some good partners in this. I think the Qataris might be a bit too still invested in some of those ancient divisions and conflicts because they're still supporting Hamas and some other terrorist groups. So hopefully that'll be wrapped up, a solution to that in all of this deal making.
Yeah, and it is, whatever you think about the business considerations here, the investments that are coming to the U.S., there are still the ethical questions which it is fair to ask about doing business with people like MBS, who not so long ago was a pariah after the murder of the Washington Post columnist, and also the Qataris, Jim. Is it fair for Democrats and Republicans to ask those questions about ethics while the president is doing these deals?
I think they should be getting behind him and backing his play to try and do something better. But, of course, there are some unsavory characters in the Middle East. And I think President Trump made a point during his speech of saying it's not the job of the U.S. president to make people atone for their sins by U.S. policy. That's God's job, and President Trump's job is to keep the U.S. safe and to make as much prosperity and security around the world that benefits us all.
Yeah, again, a very different vision of how we approach the Middle East, and one that could bear great fruit, obviously there and hopefully domestically here. Interesting the way he wanted to just immediately, or wants and is going to immediately, lift sanctions on Syria. Let's listen to the president again on that.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. So I say good luck, Syria. Show us something very special like they've done, frankly, in Saudi Arabia. Okay? They're going to show us something special.
So Jim, that's a radically different approach to Syria, obviously, that desperately needs some help. But it's anything but clear, I think, in the long run, who's going to come out on top in Syria.
Yeah, this was one of the big asks of the Gulf states. So I think they're putting themselves on the hook for making sure this new government stays in line. You know, I mean, the current leader of Syria, al-Sharaa, was previously al-Qaeda and a bunch of other flavors of jihadist. So just because he trimmed his beard and traded his terrorist jammies for a suit doesn't mean he's changed his ways. They need some protections for the minorities there, the Kurds and the Druze and others. And I think that's a responsibility that falls on the Gulf states to make sure they take care of that.
Yeah, and Jim, it is a problem in the region. It's a problem we've seen in Afghanistan as well, for instance, where the people you make your friends can very quickly become your enemies too. It's a difficult path for any president to tread.
No doubt. And, you know, the idea that we won't make deals with people who are somewhat sketchy would severely limit the president's deal-making ability. Part of what President Trump's doctrine is to go ahead and try to find ways to bring those people into the community of nations by offering them some prosperity and their people security.